Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. Trust that you are well this glorious day. I want to put together a different kind of video today, sort of looking back at what at where we've been as a cautionary tale of what we may be experiencing, and a reminder of what we need to guard against. Now, the first story we're going to do is basically a story about media. Actually, all these stories are about media. This first story that we're going to do is about Jussie Smollett. Y'all, do you remember the Jussie Smollett deal? Where apparently Jussie Smollett is in Chicago in the dead of winter, and at 2 o'clock in the morning or so decides to walk down to his local Subway and have a sandwich and get a sandwich. Okay. And while, going down there, two dudes jump out of a car and beat him up and put a rope around his neck, pour some bleach on him while shouting pro-Trump or MAGA epithets, calling him all sorts of F's and N's, right? And this happened during the this happened in the dead of winter, like at 2 in the morning, whatever. So he shows up on social media and goes, "Oh, this happened to me," and a lot of folks went bananas, just absolutely bananas. We're going to show an interview that he did on Good Morning America, and as to why he thinks that somehow he is that he, of all the people, Jussie Smollett was an actor on the show Empire. Empire? I think that's what it was called. And somehow these dudes jumped out of a truck and targeted him. And this is why he thinks that is.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume. I come really, really hard against 45. I come really, really hard against his administration. And I don't hold my tongue.
I want to ask you about Jussie Smollett.
I think that's horrible. It doesn't get worse, as far as I'm concerned.
Were you aware that he made that statement?
I saw it. I don't know what to say to that. I appreciate him not brushing over it.
And there is no doubt in your mind what motivated this attack.
I could only go off of their words. Who says empire, this MAGA country, ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you? And this is just a friendly fight? I will never be the man that this did not happen to. I am forever changed. And I don't subscribe to the idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do subscribe to the idea that we have the right and the responsibility to make something meaningful out of the things that happen to us, good and bad.
Well, I guess it's because he comes hard after 45. Because that was kind of the thing that nobody would mention the name Trump. And I'm sure that we all heard on a daily basis, on a continuous basis, how hard Jussie Smollett was going after Trump, and how much we all cared about what Jussie Smollett said about Trump or anything else. So that's why he thought he was attacked, because he would go hard after 45, right? Well, why do you call him 45? Because Maxine Waters calls him 45. And that's why. Now, one of the more interesting takes about this was from Vice President Kamala Harris. At any time that Kamala Harris is in front of the microphone, in front of the camera, it's always it's always a cluster, you know what, and this time is no different.
Which tweet? What tweet?
About saying that it is a modern day lynching, that
Sorry.
yes, Jesse Smollett.
Okay, so I will say this about that case. I think that the facts are still unfolding, and I'm very concerned about, obviously.
One of the one of the other things that I've learned over the past few years since since COVID is to listen to what they say. They're not trying. There used to be a day where people would try to sort of cover what they were saying, kind of be clandestine about things, and that's not the case anymore. It really isn't. A lot of these folks are saying exactly what they mean, and we're not really paying as close attention to what we should be paying attention to. They've got us focused on all sorts of other stuff. Deflategate, Jesse Smollett, but we should be listening to what they're telling us. Here's a couple of clips from just a few years ago that reminds me of the quote from Maya Angelou that says, "Whenever somebody tells you who they are, believe them."
Prerogative works is there's got to be compliance with the executive branch, because otherwise it doesn't work. So you got to eliminate that compliance, and you make it a mandate, and then you do training, particularly in the city. I'll call them licensing departments, whether it's zoning, buildings, housing will be impacted by it, planning certainly, and you pick the people that run those agencies and the deputies that are pledging allegiance to the new world order and good governance, and then I think you have the Inspector General do some spot audits to make sure that there is real compliance.
So we are to use these licensing agencies as the hammer to force compliancy, right? And those people who are to run these agencies are to pledge allegiance to the New World Order, and that the Inspector General should do spy operations to make sure that there is compliance. Because what we learned about that time was it wasn't about what they were saying, it was about compliance. And then there were times like this where they would just tell us it's about compliance. The next clip is your president telling you to your face he doesn't care about your freedom, doesn't care about your liberty.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with, the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans. So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week.
You know, it's interesting as we listen to that, the way that President Biden frames what he's about to tell us. You could just insert anything into that. It wasn't just vaccines. It could have been anything, because of his job to protect all Americans, he could easily insert the emergency suspension of the Second Amendment, in an effort to protect Americans. He could easily suspend the parts of the First Amendment to ban people from assembling, but as an emergency rule to protect Americans. So again, we have to listen to what they tell us. And here's what I do. I take them at their word. I don't get involved in a whole bunch of inside baseball stuff that's going on now, whether we should keep the speaker or fire the speaker, blah, 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 and all the... Listen to what they're telling us. And act accordingly. All right, we got to get out of here, maybe for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn some, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. Bye-bye now.